And it just clicked over 2 p.m. So let's get started. This is part of the video series I've been working on, HGSI and thinkorswim better together. They're really complementary programs, and since we use thinkorswim for the quotes to drive HGSI, you can update anytime. I just let mine run on every 5 minutes, and since we had that capability added, I really wasn't utilizing thinkorswim like I should, or at least I didn't think I was. So I've been trying to come up with some good ideas to make everything more efficient, and I'm going to show you how these programs work together. Quick disclaimer: any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk, but you know that, so I don't need to repeat that. Okay, we've had a few more people come in, so I'm going to post that this PDF that I'm showing you right here. Now, I just called this my online meeting today. The primary purpose is the integration of HGSI and thinkorswim. They work well together because for these reasons. Maybe I should try to zoom this out if I can. I can't find zoom on Word here. Oh well, you can read it. They both have VPA in both programs. The VPA code is not identical, but it's pretty close. So that's a real plus. And then they have similar industry groups. And when the smart groups or whatever lists are imported into the thinkorswim program, it automatically puts the stocks in their industry groups, which are very similar to ours. It's great for creating watch lists. Watch lists will be on all devices. If you create a watch list in thinkorswim, and if you log into that same account on multiple computers or on your phone or on your tablet, all of the watch lists are going to be in all of the places at the same time. That's because the watch lists are on their server. So that's pretty handy if you're away from your computer and you want to check something. It's on all of them. Earnings dates are generally close between bar chart and thinkorswim. Not always the same, but thinkorswim I use for the I just look at the charts in thinkorswim and see if they agree with bar chart, and if they don't, then I assume that thinkorswim is more correct. But they're close, and it's really easy to copy and paste symbols into thinkorswim, scan smart groups, and user prospects. Smart group prospects from HGSI to TOS. There's nothing to it, and I'm sure you all know how to do that by now. And then once the smart groups are created, we can look at the market watch from the watch list and see how they're doing in graphic form. TOS is a great trading platform, easy to use once it's set up to meet your needs. I hope you all use thinkorswim. Is there anybody here who does not use it? Okay, I think everybody uses it. There's no reason not to. It's free. You just open an account. You really don't have to have much money in it if you just want to use it for quotes. And then let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to drag this to another window, and we're going to start looking at a few things here. Now, see where I put my menu bar from HGSI on top, and to do this, there is, if I get rid of that, it disappears. But if I want it always on top, I just go to Preferences and select Always on Top. Why do I want to do this? I want to do it because it's just a lot easier to get around and go back and forth between thinkorswim and HGSI without always searching for this menu. For example, if I want to go to the designer, I just click here. If I want to go back to thinkorswim, I just click on thinkorswim. If I want to go to the warehouse, I click here. If I want to get rid of that, I just click on thinkorswim. See how easy that is? Now, if I didn't have this on top, when I want to go from one module to another, I have to go down here and find it. So that's why I came up with this. Just leave it always on top, and then you can move around very quickly. Does that make sense? Okay, now I'm going to get into the user smart groups. And see that? I just click on the designer. Here I am in the designer. I want to get rid of the designer. It's gone. So if you follow along with what I do here, I think you'll find this very advantageous. Okay, now you know that I've been working on these user smart groups, and I've got an awful lot of them. I think that I've got too many, but I'm in the experimentation stage, so I'm putting these in every day. And what I do is I just, let me see here. Okay, yeah, I just drag thinkorswim over in the morning. Let's say I go to the leaders raw relative strength group. Here's 100 stocks here. And I locate that group under personal, and I just click on this, and I click on copy symbols to clipboard, comma separated list, go in here, click edit, and then import and paste, and I'm going to replace the current symbols. So I can load all of these groups in very little time. Like I said, there's an awful lot of them. What did I do wrong there? Paste symbols from clipboard, replace. Okay, save. There we go. And you can see how quickly I put these in here. And I'm going to click on here and show you that this is long candidates, short candidates. Here's where the smart groups start. High relative strength, I call it the RS combo. These are all high RS stocks, and there's a lot of cheap stocks in there, but they're all, I think you'll find that they're all above 90 and above. Stocks and groups moving up, end of day. This is a very good group for prospecting. It's the one that Gil Morales looks at every day. He does most of his prospecting out of that smart group. And by the way, these smart groups are inside of Woodward and Brown. I put these together many years ago. But here's the leaders smart group, and then the stocks and groups moving up are over here too. But you don't have to go to these, because what I did when I set up these smart groups, well, here, let's just use the stocks and groups moving up. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to edit these. And there's no filter in here because I don't need a filter or combo. I'm grabbing the whole entire 100 stocks. And you can see that it goes directly to that Woodward and Brown smart group. So you don't have to be searching around for these things. It accesses that directly. And here's the 1 to 15 stocks and groups moving up. Now this one I put a filter in. It's still accessing the same group, but I'm requiring that there is a VPA flag. So, well, here's a hot stock. You can see yesterday it's pulling back a little bit now, but it had a VPA flag yesterday, so that's why it's in this group. And then these are 100 stocks. They're strong stocks. I'm saying that because the fan is up. And let's just bring one up, and you can see if I make this full screen, and I'm going to quickly drop down to this, and you can see that the fan is up on here. So all of these stocks will have a fan in place. Now some of the fans are going to be stronger than others, but it's going to have 200, 150, 18. This is the fan, these 4 moving averages. And the 3 and the 6 I use for buy points. Or staying in a position. If the 3 is above the 6, even if they pull back, that's not a bad way to keep from getting your stops too close. You have to be able to let stuff come down a little bit and test it. And it may get on your nerves, but it's not a bad way to stay in a stock. Anyway, top 50 group inclusion report. And let me show you, I've got this here, and I've got it top 50 here. You can see it right here, but if I'm here and I want to look at it in HGSI, I just click through to the warehouse from here. And I can look at it here, and I can look at it here very quickly. So if you like information from HGSI, and these are every 5 minutes, and this is real time in here, but you can have both. Now, if I want to just go back to this, you can see that this takes precedence because I just put the warehouse behind it. And when it's full screen, you won't see the warehouse, but you'll see how I go back and forth on this very easily. Tom, I replace them every day, every one of those. Here's what I do. Perfect speculator. There's a whole bunch. Here's box stocks, fan up. I always replace them every day. Yeah, you can do that. These are the stocks. So I just copy to the clipboard and edit, import. I always have, this is the default, replace symbols. So it replaces yesterday's symbols automatically. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, 3-6 crossover. These are counter trend. These are box stocks, by the way. I know a lot of you like to look at box stocks only, so these are counter trend stocks. Now, these were under the 3 was under the 6 yesterday, and these are the stocks today. So I'm going to make this full screen. You've seen enough of what I do on the copy and paste. And by the way, I just imported this, and this is Berkshire Hathaway. The symbols for these in HGSI have a dot. In thinkorswim, it's a front slash, so get rid of the dot, put the front slash there, and then you'll start getting quotes. You can see then you start having quotes. So replace the dot with the front slash if you didn't know that. Most of you probably knew that. Okay, so let's take a look at this here. Did I put the wrong stocks in here? I think I did. Well, maybe not. Now, when I'm in here, I like to, especially early in the morning, sort. These are the columns that I have. Symbol, last net change, percent change, daily relative range, volume, and sub-industry. Now, sub-industries, these are the industries that are pretty comparable to HGSI. So what I like to do in the morning when the market first opens, sort on this volume column, and you can see where the action is. And then throughout the day, I can sort on the relative daily range or the percent change, but you can see that BP is trading over 9 million shares today, and what did it do? It generated an effort to rise flag. So this, sort on the volume, we'll see where the action is. Now, Schwab, unfortunately, I have some Schwab, and it's not doing well. I only bought 85 shares of it because I was really leery of it, only risking $250 on it. So anyway, it's for some reason Schwab's trading down. I don't see any news on it, but I'm not going to move my stop. If I get stopped out, fine. The reason I say that is too many times when stock's going against me, I'll sell it without letting it hit the stop, and then it'll turn around and go back up. But I'll never move a stop or take it off anymore. If it goes down, I get stopped out, fine. Why? Because I know the total dollar amount that I've got at risk. If I were trading big positions on some of these stocks, I would be really nervous about it. But if I'm only risking 250 or 500 on a trade, I just let it go and get stopped out and look for something else. Okay, let's just take a look at. Well, I'm going to look at BP here. Well, where'd BP go? It disappeared on me. Well, let's look at Halliburton. So here's Hal. Now, I did put the 3, 6, and 18 or exponential moving averages in this chart. Why? Because I am using those for crossover points for potential buys. Now look at, here's where Halliburton crossed over the 3 and the 6 crossed over the 18. That was a buy point. It went up, pulled back, but it didn't take that low out. And then it crossed over again here. But this is showing up today in here, and this is a box stock. The 3, which is green, is less than the 6, so that's why it appeared in here based upon this yesterday, and there was a low volume test. It hasn't quite crossed today, but this would be a low risk entry on Hal today, or Halliburton. The moving averages, I made them real thin because I didn't want them distracting, but I can see when a stock is potentially moving up. So what if I wanted to buy Halliburton? What if I was thinking about getting into Halliburton today? Let me show you something here. I'm going to go to my charting, and I'll move this. Well, no, I don't need to move that over. I'm going to go into my daily charts, and I'm looking for, right here, I was in the folder I was looking for, position sizing. And I want HAL, so I would just type HAL in here. And here is the low volume test. This is a confirmation of this test. And there is this little tool that we have on here. It's right here. If you click on the R and make sure that you're on that line, I would see how much risk I would be taking on if I start down here at that, and if I put this right here on the high for the day, you can see the low is 38.41 and the high is 40.75, so my risk would be 5.89. Yeah, you can filter for market cap above 10 billion. There's market cap in there. You just have to build a filter for it. And I do, let me go somewhere. I'll come back to this in a second. In the designer, in my user groups, market analysis user groups, I have capitalization, large, mid, and small in here. So if you want to just look for large cap stocks, or you can filter if you want to limit it to that. Sure, that's not a problem. Okay. Okay, so getting back to my chart. Marvin, those are 3, 6, and 18. What I've been using for years. If you look at the bottom of the PDF I gave you. By the way, here's the PDF again. If people, oops, I'm sorry, I don't have the PDF on there. Those are the symbols that I copied. Just a second. For any latecomers, there's a PDF of this, what I'm showing on the screen right now. Marvin, if you want this grid with the moving averages, I put it in here. Just on your PDF file, you can just copy the link, highlight this, copy the hyperlink. I'm doing it in Word. And then as you know how to do it, you go into Setup, Open Shared Items, paste it in there, preview it, and then just import it. So I knew somebody would ask me about what these moving averages are and how to get them. Well, it's all there for you, okay? Anyway, let me get back to that chart. So the risk on this would be 5.89% using this. And I can look over here at this side and see what the intraday high, low, open, and close and all that is. And I can see what the relative volume is, and it's not very heavy. See how light it is down here, well below the moving average. So, you know, there's not a lot of enthusiasm for Halliburton today, even though we had a low volume test and a follow through. You're running into resistance here too on the left hand side. So with the lack of volume, I probably wouldn't be that crazy to take this trade, but it is a low risk trade, and we're looking for low risk entries. If I go back up here and just look at this stock, you can see the 3 is about ready to go through the 6 again, and when that happens, this histogram will go from red to green. All right, I didn't want to get bogged down on there. Let me look at my list again. Anybody have any questions so far? Am I going too fast? You can always watch the video. Oh, hi, Robert. Thanks. All right, let's do some stuff here. Let's look for. Okay, I want to do one more thing. I want to go back to my designer, and I want to know what's going on today, where the strength is. And I'm going to go under my tool menu, and I'm going to rebuild the user smart groups. Sure, I do that all the time. You can filter for moving average that's trending up. If the moving average is built into HGSI, and it's all, I say that because it's all hard-coded, yes, you can do that. I don't use a 10-day. I use a 3, 6, and 18 exponential moving averages. And sure, you can do it, though. Okay, now what I did is I updated my smart groups, and I'm going to go down here to the smart groups underneath the thinkorswim user groups, and I'm going to look for stocks that are up today, and there's 100 of them, and I can click through to the warehouse and show you that all of these stocks are up today. And I can look and I can see what the industry groups are. And what do we have? We have exploration and production, application software, steel. Steel stocks have been strong, and they're on the move today. But you get a snapshot right here of what's going on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go back to thinkorswim. And now I'm going to locate intraday up greater than 15. I've got a smart group right here. And then I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to import. I'm going to paste these from the clipboard. You can see them right here. And I'm going to replace the current symbols. So I have that list, which I just showed you in the warehouse. And it's in here now in this user smart group called intraday up. Now, let me show you something else. I'm going to go to my market watch, and I'm going to go into the heat map. So here is the group that I just put in here, intraday up, and you can see the heat map of these 100 stocks, and you can see which ones are hotter than the others. Microsoft is up 2.66 today. PDD, it's an ADR, it's up 8.39. It's been moving up. You can see here's a steel. If you want to go into materials, you hold your shift key and bring this up so you can get a better look at what's within this group. Steel right here, Nucor's up 8.83. If I want to go to the charts, I send Nucor to red, and then I go to charts, and here it is right here. Look at this. That was a huge gap up the other day and then traded down, and then yesterday there was a bullish candle, and today there's an effort to rise on earnings. The earnings, 418 estimated, 489 actual. So had I done this group early in the morning, this would have shown up probably in the top 100, and then there would have been an opportunity to get into here. But here's the earnings, and it's great. Now, speaking of earning, let's look at a different symbol. See, what am I sorting on here? I'm sorting on the daily range. BHLB, well, I don't want that one. Let's look at Microsoft. It's at 100%. Microsoft reported here. It gapped down yesterday, and then it came all the way back as the market came back. And now I guess things look pretty good for Microsoft because it's going up again. Now, what I like to do, and this is another reason I like to have this up here, is I click on charting. I'm going to put MSFT in here, and I'll just do an alternate one, and I can look in here and I can see I didn't rebuild the group. Well, I did earlier today. I haven't in the last hour or two. But I can look in here and see how the group's trading, what the stock's doing, the relationship of the 3 over the 6. With the histogram, I can see if there's a pocket pivot. There was one yesterday. And if the volume point of control is green or rose. And then, of course, I can look in here. The earnings are not going to be in here. The way bar chart does it is the earnings dump comes on Monday night, I believe, and then they're in there every Tuesday. They don't put them out every day. So what you have to do is you have to go into thinkorswim. Here the estimate was 227, the actual is 232. But we're more interested in what it's doing technically. But I like to do this. I like to have a a chart that I can quickly get to. And this, once again, is why this menu is on top, because I can go to the chart, I can go to the warehouse, I can go to the designer, I can go to ranking if I want to. So it's just easy. All right, let me get back to this. See, these are intraday up. Let me go back to the market watch here. We can, and I need to go back here to the main one. By the way, while I'm thinking of it, in the these are my personal watch lists. In the public watch lists, okay, they have their public watch lists. There's the Dow Jones, NASDAQ 100, Russell, S&P 500. Now, I wanted the NASDAQ 100 down here in my personal indexes, so I put it in here also. You can just bring these in from HGSI, because if I'm working down here, I like to see what the NASDAQ 100 is doing, but they do have them up here. I didn't think they had the NASDAQ 100, but I looked around and there it was. So if you want a quick read on what the major indexes are doing, that's the way to do it. Okay, let's go back to the Ultra Up. This group right here, if you want to look at it in the index watch, then you have to go to the personal, and it shows you that these stocks are all up for the day and which ones are up the most. Here's WB. What's this one over here? That's Boot Factory or whatever. But look at this thing. It's up over, around 16% today. If I want to go take a look at it, I can send Boot to red. Look at the chart, and here's Boot. Obviously earnings. Well, it met earnings expectation. The outlook must be really good for this stock to jump up that much. But you can see how quickly I can move around thinkorswim, and I could just work from HGSI, but let's say I'm interested in the stock here, and here's Boot Barn on top. Well, it wasn't on Raw Combo. Here's NetScout on top, and I can look over here and see all of this information, and then I can bring this chart up first. Wow, look at that. NTCT, and then I can go in here, just do the opposite of what I was doing. I didn't get that in there right. Was it NTCT? There we go. Wow, look at this. Estimate was 53. It nearly doubled it a dollar. So huge move up. Let's go back to the charting window here and see this. Communications equipment. If you want the story on what the stock is, you click on this envelope over here, or folder, and it tells you what a description of the company is. So that's why I like to be able to, if I'm looking here, I like to get the information from HGSI also. So I just click on the chart and then I just type the symbol in here. It's actually it works very, very quickly once you get used to it. And the key is to have this menu bar on top so you can quickly go between the modules. Okay, look at all these that are at their daily highs. Wow. Let me see what the markets. Wow, the NASDAQ futures are up 1.75% now. Now, another thing that I like, and I'm including this on that sheet, this internals watch list, and I'm also including the breadth grid, which we show in the Skype group, and Paul shows it a lot too. But I included this, and the reason I did, I'm going to go make these 4 charts here, is because I've really gotten used to this, but I can go up to the top here. Let's see. Did I screw this sort up? Darn it. There's what I want. Okay, see the NYA is on top, and here's the advanced decline line. And the comp is down here with the comp advanced decline line. So what this shows, and this doesn't look so great. Is this correct? Hang on 1 second. Yeah, it's got to be. Okay, let's look at this. Let's maximize this cell here. If you were online when the market opened, it gap clear up here, and you can see the advancers on this chart were clear up. Advancers over decliners were clear up at 1639, the high for the day, and then the market sold off, rallied a little bit, and then sold off again, and then it stabilized down here. And then with these bars, and what am I looking at here? This is a 16-minute bar. I could see the momentum starting to build back up for the the NYA. This is the NYA, not the composite, but you can see where the selling stopped and the market started building again. Now you can put a shorter time frame on here. This is a 5-minute chart, but I like to use this 16 minutes because 16 goes approximately into the 78-minute charts. 5 of these is comparable to a 78-minute chart, which is my other chart over here. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but 5 of these approximately equals one of these bars, so I can see it building. And then here is the daily chart here. We are when I said, is this correct? Yeah, Jack, I rethought that. I went from 12 to... I was very tired that day. I had to redo my math. Anyway, here's where it opened today, and it traded down here. Now, even though the NASDAQ is trading futures, it's trading at 94% of its daily range. I looked somewhere else to get... Well, here, we can do it right up here. I don't have to go anywhere else. Right here, 94% of its daily range. The internals, let's go to the NASDAQ internals. Well, these look stronger, don't they? They're getting back near the high of the day, so that tells me that the here's the percent range on this at 90.45%. So it tells me that the strength is in the NASDAQ compared to the NYSE. If you look down here, you can see it's only at 48.4% of the daily range. So the internals are much stronger on the NASDAQ, and that's what we've been seeing lately. But you can see how handy this is. If you want to look at the advancing volume or the declining, this minus this equals this, and this minus this equals this. It's all right here. And then also you can look at the darn it, I don't want to do that. There's what I want. You can look at the NYA, or you can look at the comp itself. if I can find it. There's a way to do no sorting on here. Why can't I see it? There it is, right here in front of me. But you can see that the comp got down here and it's come all the way back, and now it's challenging the daily high. So I think this information is very, very useful over here to see the ebb and flow of the market based upon advancing issues versus declining issues. I want to go here. Let's look at a few more things. Okay, I know what else I want to talk about here. Just this week, or last week, I came up with these scans for the low volume test. I'm going to go to my designer again and show you this. Up here in the thinkorswim user groups, these are run at the end of the day, of course. And Paul suggested there were too many, Paul Reike, so I cut it down to 50. But first of all, I just had it with the fan up, and then I thought, well, I better do one with no fan also. So let's go in and look at these edited. So they're in the thinkorswim user groups. I'm going to click on this, and here's the filter. And you can see that it's a little bit complicated. If any of these VPA flags, and there's 3 different low volume tests, and then there's a strength down, but those strength down VPA flags are looking for the end of the trend and then looking for strength. That's why they're in here. And I just put this in days since the last VPA signal, greater than 1 or less than 9. It really doesn't seem to pull up much. I should probably get rid of it. But what my thinking there was, if there is a stock which had a signal 3 days ago and it's consolidating, that might be a good trade. So it doesn't seem to do much. So 90-day moving average volumes, 250,000. Here's the fan uptrend equals yes. Now, I want to close this. And this one is the same thing, except I put EMA fan uptrend equals no, because I don't want a fan uptrend. And so we get 2 different groups of stocks. And I don't need to rebuild those. Let's just take a look at these. I'll click through to the warehouse view. And what I've been doing on the watch list for thinkorswim is I've been copying the 50 and the 50 here and pasting them into the same watch list. So I've got 100 in there. I'm just combining them. Low volume test. And then I can tell, if the fan's up or not. But, okay, let's just look at a few of these. BKNG. This is an expensive stock, obviously. But here is the low volume test. And if I go into the charting module and type in BKNG, here's your low volume test yesterday, and it's moving up. This is not a low volume test, though. Remember, I told you that that filter is, I'm not only looking for tests, I'm looking for strength seen returning after a downtrend. Darn it. I have to click back on that bar. So strength seen returning after a downtrend, which I think is very similar to a low volume test. Now here's a low volume test here, confirmation, it moved up. And then this was that NYSE. No, this is not an NYSE stock. Yesterday was a gap down though. Okay, yeah, it was a weak gap down day. And then buyers came in, so that would be strength seen in return after a very short-term downtrend. Let's look at another one. Isn't this fun? Okay, OII, here's your low volume test. Click on charting here. OII. Now here, what is this one? It says strength seen returning after a downtrend. So they're not all low volume tests, is what I'm telling you, but what I'm looking for are relatively low risk entries with these. Let's do tour. Now here it is. It's a cheap stock charting. TOUR. Here's your low volume test. Here's your confirmation yesterday, and here's your gap up with an effort to rise. So I'm checking. What I'm doing is seeing if the VPA, if there's a VPA flag in here, and also I'm going in to HGSI and confirming that the signal was correct. I know the signals are there because the filter takes care of that. Pretty interesting, huh? Now, excuse me, let's go back to the designer. I'm going to go to these 50, the fan up, rather than looking in thinkorswim. I'm just going to bring them up here in the warehouse, and I can quickly see which of these are up for the day, and these are all VPA flags. If I scroll over here to the right, I can see what the signals are. But I'm just using the basic scorecard view here. What I want to do is I want to click on this up here, the finger, and go down to the bottom, and I may move these scans. I just stuck them in here because I work off of these views during the day. So test for supply or strength seen returning, and this is the fan up. I need to relabel that and have you delete your warehouse views and reinstall. I'll tell you when to do that. But anyway, test for supply, strength seen returning, you can see all 50 of them are in here. Now if I go down to the next one with no fan, see they disappear. But if I go down to the next view, test for supply with no fan, they're all in here, and this is what they're doing today. Darn it. How this kind of gets in the way. Here's the intraday prices today, and these didn't have a fan, but there's that boot barn with the test yesterday. There must have been another high volume up bar closing on the high. Okay, that's one of the strength bars too, strength filters that I put in there. Well, it certainly worked in this instance, didn't it? Anyway, I can quickly see what these are doing for the day, but the beauty of these two scans is, and I mentioned this, I think, on the Skype board, is if I'm not interested in looking at a whole universe of stocks, let's say that I'm interested only in looking at stocks and groups moving up from yesterday that meet these requirements. So here I am in stocks and groups moving up yesterday, and then I'm looking for tests for supply. This one right here, no fan, and these are the stocks that appear. There's Boot Barn again. Here, let's look at a different one, MELI. You can see low volume test, confirmation, another expensive stock. But the VPA flags worked. Here's a test for supply on CIVI right here. And here's a confirmation it moved up. You can see the 3 is clearly above the 6. Now I'm going to stay in this same group, and I'm going to click on the one that requires a fan, and you can see that there's only one stock that had a fan up, 200, 100, 50, 18. So by adding this other view and filter, it opens up a whole new list of stocks to me that do not have a fan up. Theoretically, you want to find low volume tests in stocks that are trending up. That's why I required the fan initially. But then I realized I was missing out on all these other stocks that are showing these characteristics. Here's the signal condition and the description, and they're going up or moving up. Now let's go to a different group. Let's say that you only want box stocks, all HGSI box stocks. And then let's sort on, well, let's see which, I have to come over here and sort on this because the raw combo is something else. But these are box stocks that are moving up, and if you look at this column right here, I put this in yesterday, I believe. If not, you'll have to download these. Again, it tells me this is a box 7 stock. Well, it doesn't look that great, but the VPA flags work. That's what counts. Now look at these numbers here, and you can see that evidently it stumbled a little bit last quarter compared to these great earnings here. Look at the percentages here. Stumbled a little bit, so it's consequently a box 7 stock, and it looks like it's been under accumulation. Look at all these VPA flags here. And now it's starting to go. What do we have? We have an effort up today. Let's go back here. CVE. Here's what I'm looking for. CVE. Darn it. I didn't get that right. Okay, CVE. Let's see if I can do this here. I thought I could add to a watch list here. Well, I'm just going to do it this way. Well, I'm going to put CVE in here because I'm going to look at it tomorrow. It's up 5.34% today, and let's just take a look at it right now. And you can see using this 16-minute chart, it gapped up, came down, and then buyers came in. There was a VPA flag generated here, and another one, another one started moving up. So the advantage here of using thinkorswim with HGSI is we get a daily VPA flag on thinkorswim, on HGSI, but we can get VPA flags all day long with thinkorswim. Look at this, effort to rise here, effort to rise here. Then it's stalling out a little bit here. But over here, these are the 78-minute charts. Here's an effort to rise on that bar, and then it continues up. Here's yesterday where the flag was generated in HGSI, and here's the follow through today. Now here's the weekly chart. It actually looks pretty good on the weekly chart, doesn't it? It's been a strong uptrend, a pullback. Remember, this is our box 7 stock. How's the volume? Now let's go back here. And let's get rid of this. Let's go to this chart. Intraday statistics. Pretty low volume today, except for compared to the 50. It hasn't gotten above the 90, but it's pretty good. I don't know. That one certainly may be worth buying. It's a remember, don't take my recommendations, but it is a box 7 stock, and these earnings were stellar all through here. Integrated Oils, PE is 736. Earnings are due on the 16th of February, so earnings are not there for a while, but I do like this accumulation. Now let's go back to, you can see the volume point of control crossed over back here, and low volume test. Every time they try to knock it down, buyers are stepping into it. Even on this day, on the red candle, it closed about halfway up its daily range and gave a no supply. If you look over here, no supply, a sign of strength. And then there was a low volume test the next day. Confirmation of this today, and an effort to rise came in. Now, I can't recommend anything, but this is in my watch list. Agreed? Do you think that looks pretty decent? Okay, let's go back to this warehouse. Anyway, you can put this on anything. Here's your boxes right here. Here's another box 7 stock that's up, trading near its high of the day. Here's your low volume test. Here is your confirmation of that test. The group's been moving up. The earnings here have been decent. You can see that it stumbled a little bit. You can tell that by the red and the blue line turned down. But it's been under accumulation for quite a while now. WMS. Okay, here it is today. It gapped up, and it's been moving up on the 16-minute and the 78-minute. I'm going to put this in my watch list too. WMS. Okay. Now with this grid, I'm sure you all know this, you can maximize the cells and just flip through them very quickly. And then when you want to take it back down, you just click on this up here, and it returns it to the 4-grid system. I'm not using any other indicators. I don't think you need to. I'm pretty much concentrating on trend and VPA. I think you get too many indicators. It just leads to confusion. Wow, look at the NQ futures now, up 1.86%. Here they are out to the high of the day after this shakeout this morning. Looking good, huh? Let's look at the comp. Here's the comp daily chart. It's at the high of the day. I put this alert here. If it breaks past this on the weekly chart, it's actually going to form a higher high, and that would be a weekly trend. With that higher high, and weekly trend is very powerful. So we'll see what happens. You know, there's a lot of things to worry about with the debt ceiling and what's going on in Congress and inflation and everything else. But if we just look at the market, it certainly looks strong. So that's what we really have to base our judgment on. And if you control your risk, that's the main thing. Always control your risk. I don't know if you're doing your position sizing and so on, but if you're not, you should be. Now let me see if there's anything else I want to talk to you about. I think I've covered everything. But going back to this, just remember on these views for the low volume or the lower risk trades, just use any group you want to. Let's do one more. I'm going to go all the way up to the major market components, and let's just look at the NASDAQ 100, and you can see that in the NASDAQ 100 there were 6 stocks that passed the one with the fan up. 3 of them were up today, 3 were down. And on this one, with no fan requirement, look at all these that were up. There was only one that was down. And here's the intraday range on these. So a lot of strength here today. All right, any questions?